Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're plunging into something pretty heavy, really dense. It's that huge cache of documents everyone's been talking about, the Epstein Files.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is, and look, forget the quick headlines. What we want to do today is really sift through it all. You know, the court filings, the depositions, the reports. Get to the crucial stuff. Not just what happened, but the patterns, right?
Yeah.
The system behind it all with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Exactly. And what makes this dive so important, I think, is the mix of sources we pulled together for you. We're looking at Ghislaine Maxwell's own words, under oath, or lack thereof.
Right.
Then you've got these really stark accounts from key witnesses,
Yeah.
like Johannes Sjoberg, plus, police reports from way back in Palm Beach, the initial investigation.
And even new stuff, right? There's that congressional bill.
Yeah, absolutely. A new transparency push. So it spans from the late 90s through all the legal fights in the mid-2010s, right up to today.
Yeah.
Our goal here is really to connect those dots for you. The personal stories, the legal games, the system's response. Give you a clear picture without drowning you in paperwork.
Okay, let's start with Maxwell herself. Her deposition, April 22, 2016. When you look at that transcript, what jumps out first isn't maybe what she did say, but what she absolutely refused to say. It's quite something.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost a masterclass in strategic silence, like you said. Her main tactic, just refusing point blank to answer anything she or her lawyer labeled consensual adult interaction or, adult consensual relationships, things like that. And her lawyer, Jeffrey Epstein, he was right there constantly instructing her, don't answer that. And the key thing here, got to understand, this wasn't just, I don't want to incriminate myself. It felt very much like a legal strategy. Well, the lawyer arguing against her, Ms. McCauley, she pointed out that these questions were vital to show a modus operandi, a pattern of behavior. So by refusing to answer anything about those interactions, consensual or not, they were trying to break that chain, to make it impossible to prove a consistent system of abuse, fragment the whole narrative.
So it's not just denying specific accusations, it's like creating this legal fog, making it impossible to see the whole picture.
Precisely. Legal fog is a good way to put it.
Can you give us some specific examples, like moments where this really stands out in the deposition?
Yeah, plenty. So when asked directly about sexual contact with Johannes Sjoberg, she just says flatly, I've just been instructed not to answer.
Wow, just stonewalled.
Completely. Then on the bigger question, was she aware of any non-consensual sex acts, involving masseuses and Epstein? She gives this sweeping no. And she adds, all the time that I have been in the house, I have never seen, heard, nor witnessed, nor have reported to me that any activities took place.
A total denial of knowledge.
Total. And then there's the memory thing. Asked if she was ever told to have Emmy Taylor rub Epstein's feet, no memory. Asked about Epstein supposedly asking masseuses to pinch his nipples, refused to discuss it. Again, citing consensual adult situation.
Convenient memory lapses.
You could say that. Maybe the most striking ones are about Virginia Roberts Jeffrey. Maxwell claimed, I don't have a recollection of meeting her. I have no idea how old she was. I don't remember what she looked like.
For someone supposedly central to things.
Right. And get this. She claims she couldn't recall over 300 flights on Epstein's private planes.
300.
Over 300. Including 23 times when Ms. Jeffrey was documented as being underage on those flights. Maxwell even suggested the GM on the flight logs. Might stand for Georgina or George Maxwell. Anything but Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's almost comical if it weren't so serious. It's like she's trying to erase herself from her own story.
It really seems that way.
And her own emails from around that time, they sort of back this up, don't they? This wasn't just a deposition strategy. She was worried beforehand.
Oh, definitely. There's an email from January 10, 2015. It's pretty revealing. She writes, I am out of my depth to understanding defamation and other legal hazards and don't want to end up in a lawsuit aimed at me from anyone if I can help it. She explicitly mentions fearing the U.S. legal nightmare and questions about her relationship to Clinton, Andrew, on and on.
So she knew the connections were a problem.
Clearly. This wasn't someone surprised by the scrutiny. This was someone very aware of her, let's say, precarious position and the high-profile names involved. She was already thinking about legal protection.
Okay, so while Maxwell is building this wall of, I don't know, I don't remember, I won't answer, other people in these documents are painting a very, very different picture. Let's turn to Johannes Sjoberg's deposition. That's a key one, right? Offers a real counter-narrative.
It absolutely does. Sjoberg's testimony is stark. It really contrasts with Maxwell's evasiveness. She describes how Maxwell approached her in 2001. Sjoberg was just 21 on her college campus,
Okay.
and Maxwell offers her a job, $20 an hour, supposedly for rubbing feet as a personal assistant. Sounds innocuous enough, right?
Yeah. Starts fairly normal, maybe a bit weird.
But it escalated fast. On her second visit, Sjoberg says she saw another young woman, Emmy Taylor, take off her clothes and get on a massage table with Jeffrey. And then Epstein apparently showed me how to massage on her body using the other girl.
Wow. Okay.
And right after that, Sjoberg says she was told to take her clothes off and get on the tables herself.
So the personal assistant job description changed pretty quickly.
Instantly. It just shows how that initial framing could morph into something much darker very rapidly.
And Sjoberg's testimony goes further, suggesting Maxwell wasn't just watching this happen, she was actively involved, almost directing things.
That's a critical point, yes.
Yeah.
Sjoberg recalled Jeffrey asking her to rub his nipples while he masturbated. She refused. She said, "I'm done," and left the room. Good for her.
Yeah.
But here's where Maxwell's role becomes undeniable, according to Sjoberg. She testified Maxwell specifically bought her a camera
A camera.
and asked her to take naked pictures of myself for Jeffrey.
Whoa.
When Sjoberg didn't do it, Maxwell apparently withheld the camera and implied Sjoberg didn't finish the job being bringing Jeffrey to orgasm. Maxwell apparently added that she had to finish it for you. Sjoberg said she took that conversation to mean that is what was expected of me.
That's chilling. It paints Maxwell as not just an enabler, but an active recruiter, even an enforcer, pushing these girls.
Exactly. It positions her right at the center of the alleged grooming and exploitation process.
And Sjoberg didn't just talk about her own experiences, did she? She connected Maxwell to bringing other girls in.
Yes, absolutely. Sjoberg testified that Maxwell actually implied that it takes the pressure off of her to have other girls around sexually for Epstein.
So using other girls to deflect attention from herself.
That's what Sjoberg implies.
Right.
And then Maxwell apparently asked Sjoberg directly to bring other girls over for Jeffrey.
Did she?
Sjoberg says she partially did by bringing a girl she knew from a restaurant. So again, it points to Maxwell orchestrating the whole supply chain, so to speak.
And Sjoberg also connects dots to other famous names and victims like Virginia Giuffre.
Right. She recalled seeing Virginia Roberts, Miss Giuffre, on Epstein's jet and at his New York house. And she described this specific scene: Virginia, Jeffrey, Prince Andrew, and Ghislaine all in a room together.
Okay.
Ghislaine apparently took out a puppet, a caricature of Prince Andrew with a tag on it, and Sjoberg says she sat on Andrew's lap during this. She remembered Virginia being 17 at the time and seeming kind of orphan-like. She got the impression Epstein and Maxwell had sort of adopted her to take care of her.
That taking care of her sounds ominous in this context.
It does. Sjoberg also mentioned Jeffrey asking her to find some girls for him when they were in Hawaii. And significantly, later on, after reading police reports about Virginia's claims, Sjoberg stated clearly she believed her Virginia's side of the story. That's powerful corroboration from someone inside the circle.
So the picture emerging from Sjoberg is Ghislaine Maxwell as absolutely central, actively recruiting, managing, and participating, not just some girlfriend along for the ride.
Far from it, based on this testimony.
And it wasn't just Sjoberg saying this, right? Other staff members in the household, their accounts seem to line up.
They really do provide a consistent narrative. Juan Alessi, who worked in the Epstein household, gives some pretty grim testimony. He said Ghislaine Maxwell kept a large book of naked photos that she took of young girls.
A photo book documenting it.
Apparently. And he also said he regularly had to clean up sex toys that were kept in Ms. Maxwell's closet. Alessi also mentioned Alan Dershowitz coming pretty often for massages at the Florida house.
Okay. And there was another staff member.
Yes, Alfredo Rodriguez, another houseman. His testimony overlaps. He said Maxwell had naked pictures of girls performing sexual acts on her computer.
On your computer, too.
And Rodriguez said Epstein instructed him to pay the masseuses several $100s each time and also buy them gifts, iPods, jewelry.
Keeping them happy or quiet.
Seems like it. Rodriguez even kept a journal, apparently, listing 15 girls who visited. He noted they all seemed to know each other and knew who Mr. Epstein was. So you put these staff accounts together with Sjoberg's testimony, and you get this consistent picture of Maxwell being deeply involved, knowledgeable, and an active participant.
Okay, these personal accounts are incredibly disturbing and detailed. But let's shift gears slightly. How did the official system, like law enforcement, initially handle all this? Those Palm Beach police reports from 2005, 2006, they give us a glimpse into the very first investigation, right? What did they find?
They really do. And what they found was pretty stark. The reports detail the police executing a search warrant at Epstein's Palm Beach house back on October 20, 2005.
Okay, what did they seize?
Well, physical evidence like 2 massage tables. Predictable, maybe. But also partial nude female photographs found in a closet downstairs. And then upstairs in bedrooms, things get weirder and more disturbing. Penis-shaped soap, penis and vagina-shaped soap, and an adult sex toy.
Okay, that paints a picture.
It does. And the reports also document interviews with multiple girls. They talked about being recruited, often by someone named Haley Robson, for work, which always meant massages. And their stories followed a pattern. Started as a massage, then Epstein would touch their buttocks, pull them closer while he masturbated, fondle their breasts.
Right.
He even allegedly offered extra monies to have vaginal contact, where he would stroke their vagina while masturbating.
And were these girls told to keep quiet?
Explicitly. The reports note they were reminded not to speak of what happened at the house. And police found phone message books with just the first names of girls listed. Suggests a system, right? Tracking them.
Definitely sounds like an organized operation, even from those early reports. But the legal response back then, that's where things got really controversial, didn't they? It feels like the system kind of buckled.
Deeply controversial is putting it mildly. It's quite shocking when you read it in the police's own words. The reports state that the assistant state attorney, Lana Bilolovich, offered Epstein a plea deal.
Okay, what was the deal?
Just one single count. Aggravated assault with intent to commit a felony, 5 years probation, and crucially, with adjudication withheld.
Adjudication withheld, meaning?
Meaning no formal conviction on his record, essentially, often seen as a much lighter outcome. And this deal was offered based on just one victim's case, despite the police having multiple accusers.
One victim. But the police knew about others.
Yes. And the lead police detective wrote in the report that he expressed his disapproval of the deal and, importantly, that he was not being consulted prior to the deal being offered.
Wow. So the prosecutor went around the police.
Seems that way. And then the grand jury investigation. It was canceled. Stopped. The takeaway here is pretty stark. It points towards significant political influence or pressure derailing a proper criminal investigation right at the start, prioritizing Epstein's deal over justice for multiple victims.
And wasn't there also stuff about investigators bothering the victims?
Yeah, that's another disturbing element in the reports. The police investigation uncovered private investigators following and seemingly intimidating victims and witnesses. One of these PIs even had a prior arrest for solicitation of prostitution.
So efforts to silence people were happening early on, too.
It certainly looks like it. Adds another layer to how the system failed.
So the initial criminal case gets shut down with this controversial plea deal. But the legal fights didn't end there, did they? Things moved into civil court with defamation lawsuits and such.
Exactly. The battle for information just shifted arenas. The civil cases, especially Virginia Giuffre's defamation suit against Maxwell, became these drawn-out fights over evidence.
And Maxwell kept trying to block things.
Constantly. Her main defense was invoking privileges, attorney-client privilege, which protects conversations with lawyers, and the work product doctrine, which protects materials prepared for litigation. Standard legal tools, but used aggressively here.
But Giuffre's side pushed back.
They did. Her lawyers argued that by publicly calling Mrs. Giuffre a liar, Maxwell essentially waived those privileges. She opened the door herself. They cited Federal Rule of Evidence 502, which deals with privilege waivers. And interestingly, they pointed to a related case involving Alan Dershowitz, where a Florida judge, Judge Lynch, had actually rejected Dershowitz's similar arguments about Giuffre waiving her privilege. They argued that precedent was persuasive here against Maxwell.
So, endless legal wrangling.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And Maxwell also claimed she just couldn't produce key documents.
Like what?
She mentioned a green spiral notebook where she'd apparently written down recollections back in 2011 or 2012. She claimed she burned it in a bonfire in 2013.
Burned it. Convenient.
And she also cited 7 boxes of documents stored in Australia that she supposedly couldn't afford to ship back to the U.S. for the case.
So documents disappear or are just out of reach. Meanwhile, you have other witnesses still coming forward with damning stuff.
Exactly. Like Ronaldo Rizzo, an estate manager. He testified that he saw Maxwell threaten a 15-year-old girl and actually confiscate her passport to try and force her to have sex with Epstein.
Jeez.
So you see this stark contrast. Maxwell using legal tactics and claiming lost evidence, while other direct testimony alleges really coercive criminal behavior. It just highlights the incredibly tough fight for truth and justice.
It really does. So after all these years of legal battles, obfuscation, stonewalling,
Hmm.
there's now a push for broader transparency, right?
Yeah.
At the government level.
Yes, and that takes us right up to the present day, potentially. It's the Epstein Files Transparency Act, H.R. 4405. It was introduced in Congress just this past July 15, 2025.
Okay, what does this act aim to do?
It's pretty direct.
Yeah.
It aims to force the Attorney General, the head of the Department of Justice, to release all documents and records the DOJ has related to Jeffrey Epstein.
All documents. That sounds broad.
It is. And importantly, the bill specifically mentions Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs.
Ah, the famous flight logs.
Exactly. And any communications about the destruction, deletion, alteration, misplacement, or concealment of documents, they want to know about the cover-ups too. It also explicitly asks for a list of all government officials and politically exposed persons named or referenced in the files.
Okay, that's significant. Any exceptions? Can they just black everything out?
The bill tries to limit that. It allows only narrow redactions, mainly for ongoing investigations, national defense secrets, or very graphic images of victims. And it mandates declassification to the maximum extent possible.
So it's a serious legislative push to finally get the stuff out in the open.
It really represents a significant effort, fueled by public and political pressure, to unlock information that's been kept hidden, either deliberately or through legal means, for way too long. A push for a full reckoning.
Wow. Okay, so reflecting on everything we've dug into today, this deep dive really shows that stark contrast, doesn't it, between Maxwell's, evasiveness and memory lapses, and this absolute mountain of corroborating testimony and evidence from witnesses, staff, even the early police reports. It paints a picture not just of abuse, but of a highly organized, meticulous operation. And Maxwell seems deeply actively involved, not just some passive bystander.
Absolutely. She emerges as a central figure, seemingly involved in recruitment, management, enforcement, documentation, the whole system. And what's equally striking, I think, are the systemic issues. The legal battles show just how hard it is for victims when powerful people use every trick in the book. Legal arguments, privilege claims, even alleged intimidation to shut down the flow of information. That new Transparency Act, it feels like a direct response to that history of stonewalling. It reflects this enduring demand from the public and some politicians to finally get accountability even years later. This whole saga isn't just about individuals. It's about the power dynamics, the institutional failures that let something like this fester for so long.
So thinking about the bigger picture, what do you, the listener, take away from this? These documents, they show more than just crimes. They show a system built to enable abuse and then cover it up. Legal tactics, intimidation, lost evidence. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Beyond Epstein and Maxwell, what does this teach us about how power works, how it protects itself, and how justice sometimes struggles against that power? What's our collective responsibility in making sure these kinds of hidden systems can't operate again?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? In a world overflowing with information, but also disinformation and deliberate obscurity, how do we ensure real transparency wins out? Not just in this case, but anytime powerful people or institutions try to control the narrative, hide the truth, and avoid being held accountable for their actions or the systems they benefit from, how do we collectively fight for that?
A really important question to leave you with. This has been The Deep Dive. We hope this journey through the documents has given you a clearer, more informed perspective on this complex and disturbing case. Until next time.